In 2005, the original game of Resident Evil 4 released in GameCube and PlayStation, and basically later on became the remake in 2023. Surprisingly, one of the shotguns that came out was the actual Striker 12. And let's be real, it was an actual crowd control system where it blew the crowd away, literally. But what would happen if it became an actual airsoft gun? What do you know? Let's get into it. Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of Airsoft Master. And today we're going to be talking about is the APS Street Sweeper Striker 12. Surprisingly, this should be very popular to you as the actual Striker 12 has been seen in multiple video games out there, like I talked about in Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 5, and heck, even some movies like The Punisher that you'll see and RoboCop and the classics. Either way, so let's go ahead and get into the review and talk about the shotgun more. But before we do that, again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment in our video what do you think about the shotgun. And again, if you're checking out these products, go ahead and check it out at airsoftmaster.com. But either way, let's get into the review. Now let's go ahead and go work our way from the shotgun from the front to the back, which will most likely be a very, very short video. And for this shotgun though, surprisingly enough, we're going to start off with is you have your fairly mandated orange tip in the front end of it. But don't worry, APS does provide the black cap just in case in there. And if you're wondering like I did, unfortunately, no, you're not able to put a tracer unit because of how wide the dimensions are for the barrel system, which we'll talk about more in depth in the internals. But in regards to the whole shotgun, with everything, it is a well-built system for the Striker 12 by APS. Surprisingly enough, it's mostly a big block of metal. The only thing I can see the exceptions are is the foregrip in the front and your actual pistol grip in the back end, where you control your trigger and your safety mechanism in the back. But it's a very sturdy and tanky type of build. Surprisingly enough, it's pretty nice, which the design should be awfully familiar to you, just like as of this. Now that we already talked about that part of the externals and the metals, we can actually talk about the internals, which is surprisingly what's interesting on the Striker 12. This uses a Mark III internal system inside, in comparison to the Cam 870's Mark I and Mark IIs you would see in the differences. But Mike, what are the differences between the Mark II and the Mark I in comparison to the Mark III? The Mark I uses the actual same shells as the Cam 870s using the gas power system inside the shotgun, while the Mark II that some of you have seen, it uses the powered system inside the bolt like the Cam 870 shotguns you'll see by APS. While the Mark III is basically a better gas efficiency of the Mark I, still using the Mark I shells. So, if you're looking for the shotgun shells, which has to be sold separately for this shotgun, you're going to need the Mark I Cam 870 shells to make this work and cycle through the system. While talking about internals, surprisingly, I will say this now, there's no inner barrel. The reason why is because when you're firing the Striker 12, surprisingly, you're going to have to load your BBs inside like a normal shell and put a wad cap inside. So it makes it very, very more realistic in that type of immersion. At the same time, a lot more fun because these can actually fill, depending on variations of type of shells you get, around 11 BBs inside. So it's a real life airsoft shotgun. Now you're wondering about the drum. Well, surprisingly, this is not reloadable or changeable like you would see on other drum mags. But the good news is you do have is more of the revolving type system to be more true and accurate to the Striker 12 reloading. While at the same time, you got 12 reasons why of that, as this thing holds 12 shells in total of the whole drum. And to load it, all you have to do is just slide down the mechanism in the back end of the drum, put it in your shell, and then basically rotate it to the next chamber. Now, what I do like about the drum is, for a little ASMR, when you wind the magazine on here, it sounds very mechanical and engineering type of like steampunk style, as when you wind it up, it's like winding up a really old school mechanical clock. I don't know why, but that was very satisfying on that. But 12 reasons. So this is actually pretty good. Now that we talked about loading the drum, let's talk about unloading it to help reload, which leads to the charging handle, which is not a charging handle. It's the shell extractor. To be exact, once the door is open on the back end of the drum, you push it, it will extract the shell, and you're able to get your shells back. Speaking about the shells, to load these with the CO2 charge or even green gas, because it is possible, all you need to do is just remove the sleeve by twisting it and you'll get to your fill valve. Now, surprisingly, each one has a different variation of FPS as depending on what shells you use and also the gas that you use on these systems. For example, thanks to Todd, who actually provided us to help out with the APS Striker and the shells, we did test this out where we do notice that it does help better in the performance of using CO2. Mainly the fact that you're able to do about 40 to 50 feet to be effective on the range for close quarter situations. So imagine if you were to bring this very close quarters, such as, I don't know, N1, shout out to my local boys out here in SoCal. And of course, we're gonna have to talk about is safety. So the safety is on near the back end of the pistol grip, where if you push it, you're gonna end up with a safe button indicator, where if basically you see no red, you're not gonna be dead. But when you see the red line, well, that means that it's ready to fire. Now let's go ahead and talk about the back end of this shotgun, which after all these years of playing video games and watching the movies, they always hold it like this. I didn't know until now of doing a review that this was the stock, like you would see the same thing for the SPAS 12. You would push this button on the side of it, this would actually help release, and now you have a wire brace stock on here. But let's be real, are you gonna use it? Not really. For some reason, this just looks better this way. So, as I stated previously, unfortunately, we're not able to chrono this beast because of the fact that it shoots 11 BBs, and I don't feel like breaking another chrono. Another story. But either way, when you do test it with 1 BB, you're looking on average around the 270 to around the 280 to 290 FPS in regards of using the CO2 in 1 BB in the shotgun shell, with the effective range of being around 35 to 40 feet. So it is very good for the close quarter situations. But again, the effectiveness of reloading on this thing does take a long time. Now, what comes with the shotgun when you do purchase this is surprisingly the black cap and a QR code to show your online manual of instructions for troubleshooting and even maintenance on your shotgun. Now, this is an important factor that I have to remind you is it does not come with the shotgun shells that are needed to help run the actual street sweeper. So you would need to buy a certain type of shells, which again has to be filled by inside the shell and not in a system that's for it, as there are completely different type of situations and different type of shotgun power systems that you would have on the Striker. So in conclusion to the Striker 12 APS shotgun, for starters, for the cool factor, I do like how this reminds me of the old school days of playing Resident Evil many times with the Striker 12 shotgun, and surprisingly having it as a airsoft gun makes it as close as we can get. Meanwhile, I will give credit to is being more realistic, as you would see like the APS Cam 870s, where it would be shell ejecting in regards of the real thing, compared to other shotguns that we've seen on previous reviews. The third point I do like is for this shotgun in general, on the average pricing during this recording, is around the sub $290 to $300. Again, a pretty nice setup. The only drawback I would have to give is you would have to find these shells specifically to help power the system, but there is many places to actually do get that in the resources. As for this video, basically I do want to give a big shout out to Todd to allow me to do the review on his actual APS Striker 12, and most likely you're going to see these for pre-order on our website at airsoftmaster.com. But what do you guys think about the APS Striker 12? And as well to that, if you have any experiences with the Cam 870 by APS, tell us your experiences and how you feel about the system. As well to that, basically don't forget to like and subscribe, and again, go ahead and check out our website at airsoftmaster.com for products like these. Also stop on by if you're actually local. But again, for this video, my name is Mike. I'll see you guys till next time.
This video is brought to you by Airsoft Master.